industrial market, manufacturing market, a lot of the chip delays and all the logistic problems with overseas, bringing a lot of the manufacturing back has really impacted the industrial market for Central Texas. There's a lot of institutions in Central Texas that are driving this market. All the subsidiary companies that have to come and support them, from vendors and subcontractors and the things that help them do their business, have made a big impact in Central Texas, which is why we've seen a massive growth in new tilt wall industrial construction. The middle to smaller size stuff, there is no inventory right now, so there's been a big influx in 175,000 square foot buildings and upwards to 600,000. But compared to the DFW market, it's actually pennies on a dollar. So when you compare the two, which is where we're from, we're talking 12 million square feet, where I think Dallas-Fort Worth is 250 million square feet. That being said, the next few years for Central Texas for us on the industrial side looks pretty promising.
The industrial market here in Dallas is still pretty strong. We're on track to do about 146 million in industrial projects this year. What we're seeing right now is deal sizes are going down, so the value of them is shrinking, but the number of deals that we're getting is still relatively the same. Some of that is probably cyclical for the year, but also it could be cyclical from a market perspective. My team worked with a lot of e-commerce clients. What we saw coming out of the pandemic was a ramp up in e-commerce, obviously. Last year, I think we kind of saw that first correction after the pandemic. For instance, I had projects that we were working on for some of our e-commerce clients get started and stop. Everybody thinks the sky's the limit and it's going to keep going up and up and up. And then there was a correction. We finally saw those projects that were stopped pick up towards the end of 2022. Some of those larger corporations, e-commerce clients who ramped up pretty heavily from the pandemic and kind of corrected a little bit last year. I think you may or may not be seeing that right now with other corporations and other customers out there who are a little bit smaller. So I think the ripple effects, you're starting to see that a little bit, but again, it's still strong, right? I mean, 146 million for us this year is still pretty strong. There's still the very large projects and deals out there, and then you're seeing a lot more on the smaller end, a lot more remodels, a lot more spec suites, developers putting spec suites out there because they don't have tenants, but anticipation of tenants.
The two drivers for slowing us down is capital right now and infrastructure. Lending right now, or money, the capital, is expensive. The infrastructure for Central Texas in water, wastewater, and power is been a challenge. In addition to that, things are changing, right? You get big capital that will be okay with a lift station for a commercial property. Or you get big capital that says, hey, we have money that we have to spend and we're not borrowing money. It's capital that we already have and they'll go do it. It's the smaller to mid developers that are having to go raise capital or put their own cash up that has really slowed down. And that's across all markets. It's at a slower pace, but it is still a pace. Talking to several architects in town, they've actually seen an influx in some office space, so that's promising.
What you're seeing as kind of a byproduct of the pandemic is obviously, materials are what is driving jobs. Jobs that before the pandemic would take 2 months or 3 months that would go really fast are now going 5 months, 6 months, and longer. The opportunity there is to engage us or a general contractor, whoever you might be working with, sooner to be able to give you clarity and awareness around those issues. Because when you're trying to plan to open a facility, trying to create revenue from your business, not understanding it could really affect your business. And we see that we're starting to kind of advise our clients, let's back into these lead times so we don't have resources and we're not expending capital for a longer period of time.
The untapped potential for the industrial market in Central Texas is truly the market maturing. And I say that for us, we have the potential for the ground up. We don't have a ground up in Central Texas yet. Our first one will break ground, I think, in the next 4 or 5 weeks in Georgetown. When you have some ground ups going and people in the local market see your capability to do that, they're watching. They understand. It's the other players in town that they've worked with for many years that they're hesitant to break away from. If it's successful, it's hard to break and do something new, unless it's kind of like, eating salt for the first time. But when you taste it, you want more of it. And I know that that's what happened on the industrial TIs for us. When people got a flavor for how we deliver excellence at Gordon Highlander, they want more of it.
We did have a slight correction last year, and you might be seeing a slight correction this year or slow down. I don't think that's gonna last. I think there are big plans for next year to start ramping up again, but it might be different. Maybe not seeing large facility types anymore, but you're seeing smaller facilities that can serve more of the market, right? Be more efficient. And be more nimble to serve, the DFW market as a whole. I think as we go into the end of the year, I think we'll see deal sizes pick up. I think we'll see deal counts pick up. I know I'm working specifically with some clients already about planning for 2024, and I can tell you that there isn't any plans to remain the same or reduce square footage or footprint. I think plans are to continue growing, and I think the market still supports that.